Hi friends, Tony and I just got back from walking the Camino de Santiago with my family this summer. We walked from Astorga to Santiago de Compostela, roughly 260 kilometers, about 160 miles. We did it over a span of 9 or 10 days. And I thought it would be really helpful to take you through my packing list for this trip because I think I finally did an okay job packing. Just some background of my experience walking the Camino de Santiago. In 2011, I walked from Astorga to Santiago de Compostela, so the same route that I just walked with my family. 2013, I walked from Pamplona to Santiago de Compostela. That is about 3.5 weeks to a month of walking. I'm not sure the exact mileage of it, maybe around 500, maybe a little bit less than that. In 2014, I walked from Saint-Jean-Pied-du-Port to Zubiri with my families, and then we bussed ahead to Villafranca del Bierzo and walked to Santiago de Compostela from there. And in 2016, Tony and I walked from Astorga to Santiago de Compostela for our honeymoon, actually.
I was smelling the flood.
All of these that I've previously mentioned are from the Camino Francés route of the Camino de Santiago. There's actually a lot of different routes to the Camino de Santiago, and in 2018 I walked the Camino del Norte from Irún to Oviedo, where the Camino del Norte meets up with the Camino Primitivo, and Tony joined me in Oviedo to walk a Camino Primitivo through hike from Oviedo to Santiago de Compostela.
Oh no! Are you okay? You did it!
And then 4 years later, just this summer, 2022, I walked from Astorga to Santiago de Compostela with my family. So I have walked the Camino Francés 5 times. I have walked the Camino de Francés 5 times in different installments. So I've done it a few times. I don't have a perfect packing list, and I know that packing lists can be so individual, but I thought it would be helpful to share mine and being able to reflect on it after the trip, whether or not those things that I packed were useful or not. And also just a caveat, this is a summer packing list. Spain has seasons, and if you are walking any of the routes in March, you are probably going to be packing very differently than what I packed this July. And another note is the Camino de Santiago is hiking, but it's not like the Appalachian Trail. You are not in the middle of the wilderness. You are regularly walking through towns with resources such as pharmacies and supermarkets and restaurants and bars. So it's really no sweat if you forget something because you can just buy it there. So with that, let's get started. We're going to go back in time to before the trip when I was packing. Maybe we can do a little rewind like sound like. Hi everybody, I am going to be going on a trip soon with my family called the Camino de Santiago. I'm so excited and I'm finally beginning to pack, and I thought it would be so fun to bring you along with me. I started out packing by spraying my backpack with permethrin to protect against bed bugs. It is unfortunately a reality that we might be encountering bed bugs. Instead of stressing about it, we're just going to treat our bags with permethrin and chill out. So let's go through it, and I'm gonna take you through all of the things that I am packing for the Camino de Santiago. Let's start with the bags that I packed. So for my main backpack, I have the Osprey Cirrus. I don't remember what the liter is, but it is a day pack size actually. And for me, I'm a smaller person with a smaller frame, and this worked really well for me. Your backpack is your own personal choice, so you want to give that some thought. You want something that's very comfortable, especially if you're choosing to carry everything with you rather than taxi ahead. And then I also packed this really light drawstring bag, which was really nice for using as a day pack. For example, after our Camino, we went to León and we went to Madrid, and I was able to carry this around with me rather than my backpack with water bottles and money and snacks and things like that. So this was really handy, and I also used it as my personal item on the plane. And moving on to what I'm going to call sleeping gear, I packed a sleep sack along, and I think that a sleep sack or some sort of travel sheet or camping sheet is a must on the Camino. especially if you are planning to stay in the albergues, not just the municipal ones, although the municipal ones, for certain, you are going to need some sort of sleep sack or sleeping bag, but also private albergues that you can book and reserve your beds ahead of time. Oftentimes, they do not have sheets. It's just like a plastic covering on the mattress. So no sheets, no blankets. So definitely you are going to want a sleep sack or travel sheet or something of some sort. And I did treat my sleep sack with permethrin as well. It also might be really beneficial for you to pack along an eye mask and earplugs, especially if you are planning on staying in the dormitories. And I actually found it really helpful even while staying in the larger cities because it was so hot, and some of the places that we stayed at did not have AC, so we would leave the windows open at night, and the street noise and the street light could sometimes be kind of loud. So the eye mask and the earplugs are really helpful. And next we'll talk about what I'm going to call the health and safety category, starting with a first aid kit. It doesn't have to be anything intense because in Spain, like I said, you're going to be going through some towns with pharmacies, there are hospitals. So anything more serious than minor cuts, scrapes, insect bites, things like that, there are pharmacies you can go to. And also having Spain's emergency number 112, which is their version of 911, in your phone or in your brain while you are on the Camino can be really helpful. So what I packed along in my first aid kit is Band-Aids and blister-specific Band-Aids, such as Compeed, or Band-Aid also has a blister-specific Band-Aid, sterilizing alcohol wipes, a small roll of gauze, a small roll of medical tape, a gauze pad, antibiotic ointment, a tweezer, and a small container of Benadryl, or I actually packed the generic brand of Benadryl for if you or if someone around you were to have a bee sting or a wasp sting and have a moderate reaction. And I actually ended up using the majority of the things in my first aid kit. Definitely the blister Compeeds were used, the antibiotic ointment, the Band-Aids for some insect bites. And my brother actually even accidentally put his hand down on this weird thistle thing. It was like a cockabur, but giant, and it had a pit inside. Like imagine a peach that has the pit inside, but instead of soft, fuzzy skin, it's like putting your hand on a porcupine instead. And then more health and safety, we've got our N95 masks. I packed a bunch of the disposable lighter weight masks, hand sanitizer, travel wipes, hand wipes, sunscreen, body sunscreen and chapstick that has sunscreen, some insect repellent wipe. I actually did not end up using these, but I don't know that I would regret bringing them along, and a small carbon monoxide detector that I did not end up using. And then toiletries. Toiletries are super personal, so I'll just go through what I packed along. I've got toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, tooth floss, contacts, contact case, contact solution, glasses, a little thing of shampoo, face wash, acne spot treatment, body soap, and then a bunch of these little sample moisturizing face sunscreen that I got from the dermatologist, deodorant, a razor, and a nail clipper. And also a travel towel. So this is like a quick dry travel towel that we've had for a long time. And if you're staying in the albergues, you do not always get towels. So you are going to want to bring your own travel towel along. And again, all these toiletries, they're things that you can buy in Spain. So don't worry about it if you're going to forget something. Oh, and also pads because I'm a lady. And along with toiletries, I'm just going to segue from the toiletry section to the shoe section because the flip-flops are actually a little of both because these are shower shoes. You do want to have shower shoes along. And then the shoes, oh my gosh, the age-old question, trail runners or hiking shoes. I wore trail runners on this one. During the summer, they're more lightweight, and I think you can definitely get by with trail runners. You do want something with some tread, so I wouldn't recommend regular running shoes, but trail runners, I think, do the job. If you're going in the spring or the winter, I would recommend hiking boots that are water resistant for sure. I don't think I would recommend trail runners for any season other than summer when it's relatively dry. And then more outerwear. I brought a hat, a buff. This buff actually has insect shield permethrin treated, so that's nice. A long sleeve quarter zip, a very light plastic rain poncho. Again, different story if you're traveling in the spring or in the winter. It rains a lot more, especially in Galicia, so you would want something a little more sturdy than this disposable rain poncho. We never actually used this, but it's good to have along just in case. For clothes, I packed one very lightweight pant, 2 shorts. They have built-in briefs in them, 2 tank tops, 2 t-shirts, 2 sports bras, I think 3, maybe 4 pairs of socks. I can't remember. Some underwear. I packed 5 pairs. I don't know. Use your own judgment with that. And then electronics. I packed a Kindle. I debated bringing like a book to read, but I'm glad I went with the Kindle instead. You can load a lot more on them. Also, my Garmin, my smartphone. It's very hard to do the Camino without a smart device. There's lots of QR codes happening. I hate the QR codes. I also brought my GoPro, obviously, and all of the charging cables that go with it, that go with all of these things, and an adapter that has a USB jack. Is that what they're called as well? And a little bag to store all of these in. Also a water bottle. I went with my soft hydro pack. I don't know that I would recommend a soft water bottle to somebody, and I don't know if I would do it again, but it worked for me. It was fine. And it was super lightweight. I packed along some snacks as well. And then the important things, I like to pack along all of the things that I need for if my passport gets lost or stolen. What you will want if your passport goes missing is a copy of your passport, a secondary ID, and a passport photo. The passport photo you could get there. So I packed along my driver's license, the copy of my passport, and an old passport photo. Credit card, debit card, you'll want to let your bank know that you're traveling before you leave. And your passport, of course. Your vaccine card, maybe a copy of your vaccine card. Also a passport pouch to carry around all of your very important items. I did pack some fun, frivolous stuff. I packed Rick Steves' Madrid and Toledo book because we were going to be sightseeing in Madrid and Toledo for 4 nights, 3 full days when we were done. We didn't end up going to Toledo, but we did spend a significant amount of time in Madrid. And an old school journal and a pen. Unfortunately, the cap to my pen got lost about 3 days into the trip and my pen dried up, so I didn't journal as much as I thought I would. And that's my packing list. I would have to say the one thing that I did not use at all was the carbon monoxide detector, but I'm really on the fence over whether or not that means that I shouldn't have packed it or not. If we were staying at any Airbnbs that did not have a carbon monoxide detector listed, I think that it would have been smart to use. Plus, a lot of the nights we were sleeping with the windows open anyways because it was so hot and a lot of places did not have AC. MVP of the trip, maybe the blister Band-Aids. I feel like they are really important to have along. I got 1 blister on the last day, but they were used by other people in the family who ended up getting a lot more blisters. My trail runners held up really well. I don't know how they would have done if I had started in Saint-Jean-Pied-du-Port, because that's like 500 or 600 miles, I think. That would be a lot for trail runners. You might have to invest in a new pair halfway through. I don't know. Oh, a couple things that I did not bring that you could bring are 1, a headlamp, which I actually recommend and we were going to bring, but my parents accidentally left it at my brother's house, because if you are planning on any early morning walks, it's still going to be very dark, and even sometimes there's some road walking, and you really want to be visible for cars. So definitely a headlamp, I think, is really beneficial. And also maybe you want to bring along hiking sticks. I decided not to bring hiking sticks this time. I have used hiking sticks in the past, but I do normally recommend them. My legs held up fine. I had just run the Afton 25K, so I felt like my legs could probably hold up, and I was just playing it by ear. I figured there's lots of opportunities to buy sticks along the Camino, especially at like Camino souvenir shops. They often have hiking sticks to buy that are pretty cheap. If you do want to bring your hiking sticks along, it's worth knowing that you are not actually allowed to bring your hiking sticks in your carry-on, even if they are collapsed and completely enclosed in your carry-on backpack. Anecdotally, I know a lot of people are able to get through, especially traveling from the US, but it does very clearly say on the TSA website that it's not allowed. That's just good to know. And in Madrid, they always take away your hiking sticks. So if you want to keep your hiking sticks, it's probably best just to check a bag. Yeah, and I think that's it. I hope that you found this helpful. I find it really helpful to document my checklist for future trips as well, because every time I go on another trip, I learn a little bit more about what I should or shouldn't take, or what's necessary, what's not necessary. So if you're planning your Camino, oh my gosh, I hope you're having a blast planning it. Best of luck. Take care. Buen Camino.